Ooh, that was a hot beat right there. Let me just say that. Really, really hot beat by none other than one of our own. So I'm not going to take a long time. First, let me wish everyone out there happy Valentine's Day. Thank you guys so much for watching us. If you're taking the time to a little bit of time out of your Valentine's Day to come on and watch us here on All Nicked Up, thank you so much. If your significant others are letting you watch us as well, thank them for us as well because I know how that could go. So just wanted to put that out there. Well, let me bring the guys in real quick because that beat you heard was one of Ty's, right? Ty, that's you.
It's a little bit of me.
There you go. So see, we have, talent all over this damn board. We all over the place. If you guys have listened, huh? You know talent.
Everybody got some.
Wait a minute, Joe. Wait a minute. Now that's a lie. Because we see your pizzas. You put your pizzas out for all of us to see.
Flat out skills right there. That's skills.
Yes. I have to say.
Skills.
I have to say those I want to try. Eventually, I want to try one of your pizzas because they look fantastic. So definitely want to give that a try. I haven't shown any of my talents on here yet, so we'll see.
I saw the jambalaya working.
Yeah, that's something. In case you guys, if you don't follow us, we're talking about. Yesterday was Mardi Gras, and every year for probably since I think the first year before COVID, I started having a little Mardi Gras get together. I didn't have the get together this year because people were on vacation, family members on vacation, people were sick, so I couldn't have everyone over. But I make usually jambalaya, dirty rice, some Cajun wings, which I made for Super Bowl this year. So I made them. I did make them. I just didn't make them for Mardi Gras. And I posted the jambalaya I made again yesterday. So I said to Ty, I'm like, you could take out the andouille and put in some turkey kind of sausage, and
we got alternatives. We can hook it up. Believe me.
Yeah. So
dirty rice though. Dirty rice is the bomb.
I didn't make it because it would have been too much food. So I do have the ingredients to make it, and I'm going to make it again. And when I do, I'll show you guys that. But I normally do make both because I usually have about 15 people over. So I like to give a variety of stuff. And then I usually make like hurricanes, the alcohol, obviously, gotta put it. And then I get a king cake and everyone cuts it, and you have to find the baby Jesus in the cake because they put one in the cake. So it's all this other, it's a religious based thing. Most people don't know that. It's because it's the day before Ash Wednesday that people celebrate Mardi Gras. But like everything else, it's become more secular and lost the religious part of it. So it's there. But all right, enough of all that. We're here, of course, to talk to New York Knicks, who are limping literally into the All-Star break. They have lost their last four games. They have lost 5 of their last 6. And I don't want to say importantly, but more, what's it called? Yeah, I guess more importantly, they have lost players. Players have gotten hurt. Hartenstein, and now Dante's banged up, and Bogdanovich is banged up, and Brunson missed a couple games, and we've had a lot of different things going on with the team, injury wise. So I think I can, I'm to say this for all of us, we're happy the All-Star break is coming. Craig liked to talk about his cushion. Well, the cushion's gone. I don't want any more hear about the damn cushion one more time.
That's so
yeah. So it's been a rough couple weeks. Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, definitely. We're definitely in a hurricane season with the Knicks. I mean, it's kind of crazy. I do say thank God it's happening now because it could be worse. It could be happening in May and June, and all the love that we've had for the season, invested in the season, could be very well over with sooner than later, unfortunately. But it's a good time to be injured coming in on the All-Star break. So not that injuries are ever good, but some of these seem like they're little dings and nicks, and no pun intended on the Knicks, but things that they seem like that hopefully they'll be done with in the next couple of weeks and maybe get somewhat of the roster back in tow. Let's hope.
Yeah, this is coming like I said, this is the perfect time. If you're gonna have injuries this time, you get a little bit of a break. Brunson, not unfortunately, this is his first time making the All-Star team, so of course he's gonna enjoy that weekend. And part of me wishes he wasn't, but I get it. You want He wants to revel in it, and I don't blame him. He worked hard. He deserves it. So that's going to be fun. He's in the 3-point shootout, so we have something to. Well, actually, we have two reasons to watch. If you like the slam dunk contest, Jacob Toppin, who of course is not technically on the team.
I think I'm going to win that contest this year. I think I'm entering this year to win that.
That's stupid. They have to have a minimum game type of. You have to be a member of the team. I mean, this isn't the first time that's happened where they get some guy from the G League out. And
Well, yeah, McClung is not technically on the team either. He's a G League guy, but here he comes.
I was hanging out with McClung last night. Last night, me and him were hanging out and shooting hoops in the back of my yard,
playing horse.
My own league, That's what was going on last night. In case you guys wanted to know what I was doing last night.
You working on dunks with him? Giving him some pointers?
We got some stuff that we're going to be breaking out during the All-Star. Y'all just hold on to your horses there. That's what I'm saying. I already told you I'm the Knicks replay expert, and I'm also, helping out, McClung and Toppin over there. We'll be all right.
Well, one thing I want to talk about, because while players have been going down, other guys have been getting opportunities, and one guy who has been is Precious Achiuwa.
Mm-hmm.
Very surprised. I mean, I knew he had game. He was a very highly recruited high school player. So he's from the area. So I've been hearing about him for a while. And he went to college and he didn't live up to that kind of hype. He's a good player, but I feel like he's really been showing something. What do you guys think?
I think absolutely. I mean, he's been showing something. He's been showing the rebounding that we missed. He's picked up in that area. His game is really close to the basket. But as good as he's playing now, I don't see him as a member of the rotation once they go at full speed. He's really a 4. He's not a 5. And I mean, if we have both of our 5s going, and you're talking about Bogdanovich playing at the 4, he's somebody I can see getting squeezed out because, I mean, yes, he scores well against the basket. He does rebound, but that's not really a premium skill set. But don't get me wrong, he has stepped up, he has performed and everything like that. I just wonder who he's going to be on this team going forward.
Yeah, I mean, that's the biggest question about it, what he will be. Right now, he's very serviceable. I think that's what we've been wanting. Yeah. It's basically the same, next man up mentality that we see Tom Thibodeau preach. And it's really worked. Unfortunately, it's working a little too much because everybody seems to get damn well injured now. They break a toenail and then they're out for like 4 months. Literally that's what the Knicks have been going through. But as far as what he's come in and contributed, I mean, Miami drafted him. So Miami does not draft maybe the most great offensive players, as we can see. We don't want him shooting threes. Clearly, he needs to stay the hell away. Don't count the 3. Don't say 3. Three's enough or whatever. Three's company. Don't you mention the number word 3. You don't need to be out there doing any damn thing past the arc. Or you stay near the arches. Go to McDonald's. Don't go near the arc. Don't be shooting the damn ball, bro. But other than that, when you think about what he brings, Miami always has these guys that have great motors. Stay in great condition.
Yeah,
that's how they draft, with a certain toughness to their game. It might not be pretty, but the results are going to be there. And I think if you revisited back that trade that sent Kyle Lowry to Miami, they would have probably kept Precious. They could have used that extra body, as opposed to what Craig's boy did, which was not much of. I mean, he helped them win. I guess against the Knicks, I would say that he gave them a little bit of an advantage, which is funny enough, and helped to beat us. But long term, I think you'd take that guy anytime over what Kyle Lowry's contributed for the Miami Heat. But he's solid. He's an NBA rotation player. He's probably a 7th, 8th man in the depth chart. We need him. I mean, he's had some great games. I mean, the rebounding has been there. The offensive rebounding has been there. It seems like the Knicks, they picked the right guy to know that we're gonna miss some damn shots and can go get the rebounds, because that's what offensive rebounding really is. You're missing a lot of damn shots and they're getting you second opportunities. So he's come in. He played with a nice tenacity. We always do the written in that he's from this area. Kind of always helps that guys understand what is expected when playing here. So, yeah, I like Precious. I mean, the jokes are always there. Is he the girl from the movie? Is he from Lord of the Rings? We've got all kinds of things. I preferably
Well, that's yeah.
we know I wouldn't name my kid dude probably Precious, but he's probably been.
Well,
I mean, how do you even say that out loud to Precious? It just doesn't.
Well, his older brother played at St. John's, and I'm a St. John's alum, and his older brother's name is God's Gift. So his parents clearly, yes, his older brother's name is God's Gift. Yes.
Wow.
Yes, it is. So, yeah, I mean, his parents clearly love their children. I'll say that because they've given them pretty cool names. But yeah. Definitely Precious is not ever since that movie came out too. I think it kind of changed how people look at that for a person name that they think of her. Because I mean, it was a fantastic film. Very, very sad in a lot of respects, but it was a fantastic movie. So I think that's in the general consensus. And then, like you said, Lord of the Rings with Gollum as well being Precious, and that's why I put the Precious on there. That's what I was thinking. Lord of the Rings. It shouldn't be a surprise to anybody because my nerdy ass thinks that way all the time. So, but I think honestly, he has been such a revelation because when they made the trade, I was like, all right, he's a nice player. I kind of felt like Joe felt then though, like where are we going to use him? I knew we were looking for a backup power forward, but Julius plays so much, and I was like, how are they going to squeeze him in? And he's been, if anything, like you said, Joe, you don't know where he fits in going forward. But if anything, we've learned that he can plug in if we need him to, right? So,
yeah, definitely.
So when you look at it from that point of view, it's like, all right, we have another player who the coach is not going to be afraid to throw in a game if we need to. Someone gets hurt, we need some minutes. That's been the best thing, I guess, that come from all these injuries, especially Julius's and the big men. Is that we found out there's another guy they can lean on.
Ultimately, where do you see him in the rotation, though? I see him as kind of the 11th guy in a fully healthy, functional roster.
It depends in my opinion, it depends what they need, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's going to be certain games where against certain teams, you're probably not going to need him, but there might be games where you do because he does things that Bogdanovich doesn't do well, right? And Tibbs doesn't like, for whatever reason, he doesn't like playing Robinson and Hartenstein together. So if they're both healthy, they're not playing together. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So you're going to need somebody to spell when you need a more rugged, close to the basket, that kind of a player. You'd probably put him in. Whereas if you need more offense, you can play Bogdanovich as the stretch, and he'll give you that. Mm-hmm. So that's how I see it. That's. Mm-hmm.
I was going to ask Joe, who do you see as you had to pick? What do you think? How do you think Tibbs goes 9 deep, 10 deep? What do you think? Maybe at the most in the playoffs.
He's going to have to go 10.
10. So where do you see? I guess name the 10. Well, who do you think is going to be the 10? Who's going to?
Okay, obviously the starting five right now: Brunson, DiVincenzo. Obviously Mitch, when Mitch is starting, Anunoby, Randall. Mm-hmm. And then if you're looking at the bench right now, I have to say you're looking at Miles McBride. Mm-hmm. I think you're looking at Burks. Mm-hmm. I think you're looking at Hart. Mm-hmm. I think you're looking at Bogdanovich, and I think you're looking at Hartenstein.
Yeah.
And I think, honestly, if you have both of those centers in place, you don't need Precious Achiuwa as much, which is why I see him sliding down to the 11th. But I think you need what Bogdanovich has. Personally, you need that more. That's something that you don't have. Whereas offensive rebound is something like he can seemingly pull that out of a hat like a rabbit every time that we need. We find an offensive rebounder somewhere, somebody who's strangely pulling down an elite level like 5 offensive rebounds a game. So it may be also his system and how he plays defense and offense and what he asks out of certain positions to put them in line for that and what their responsibilities are, because it seems like he could just replicate that with whoever's in the lineup.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't think like when he was playing for the Clippers, I don't think Hartenstein was pulling down 5 offensive rebounds a game or seeing anything close to that. He was more at the top of the key distributing a lot of times.
Yeah, he was. You're right. Absolutely. Should be interesting. When you named all those people, I'm like, that is definitely putting him at 11 because the only person I could see maybe coming out of that is McBride. I mean, maybe, if they don't have a need for him but he's been playing so lights out.
He's been playing good, man.
I don't even know if you can even nudge him out of any kind of rotation at this point. So probably is 11 when you think about it.
Hold on one sec.
Yeah, I mean, luckily we have a little bit of time, so we'll see how this all plays out. But yeah, it's been a revelation. That's what I'll say. It's been a revelation for him, for us with him. Now we finally get to see a guy who, I wasn't expecting this much from, but we know we can. Like I said, we can lean on him if we need to going forward.
He's a nice player, definitely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So I have up there Knicks appealing the loss to the Rockets. Okay. We were chatting during the game when this was happening. So I can honestly say that might have been the worst call I have ever seen in a basketball game. And I've been watching basketball for a long time. I've seen bad calls. I'll say to this day, as much as it benefited us, that Pippen foul on Hubert Davis probably shouldn't have been called. Like there are plenty of things I could go to if I wanted to and say they were bad. But this one, I swear, every time I saw it, I didn't even think he touched him. Like they say he did down low like a little bit, but I didn't see anything. And to call it at that point of the game, and then they even say, like, right away after, we didn't have to wait a day. It was literally right after, we made the wrong call. I mean, that just, man, that's a tough one to take. And I know I don't like blaming officials because they suck all across the board in every sport. No. And it just is a point now. I'm like, if I do that, I'd be complaining every day. But there were a couple of things about that game with the officiating. What I just said with that call. The second thing was, and Alan Hunt said this, so I'm not saying it because I noticed it. He said it and I didn't realize it. They had 58 points in the paint that game, and they only had 12 free throws. So they were attacking the basket. They weren't getting fouled, yet the Rockets had 33 free throws. So a 21 free throw discrepancy, and the Knicks were the more aggressive team? I mean, look.
That's interesting.
Tim Donaghy is smiling somewhere. That's all. That's how I want to put that out there because
chilling like a villain.
Yes, he's looking more and more correct every time. So, Joe, I was on with Ty. So, what were did you watch the game? Did you see it? Did you?
I did. I caught the second half of that game. Actually, I didn't catch the first half of the game, so I don't have really the context of what the officiating was like for the full game.
Mm-hmm.
But from the first glance, it looked like he might have fouled him. But from that angle, you didn't get the fact that he was just drifting past him.
Right.
Kind of. So afterwards, when you looked at it, it was pretty horrible. Like, to tell you the truth, honestly, I usually don't go nuts on calls like this. I mean, officiating is hard. It is an imperfect science.
Mm-hmm.
I used to do it in college. I used to ref basketball games. But when it results in a loss, especially when I'm hinging on that 50 win and really drooling for it and looking like I'm falling out of that right now, it hurts more. All I know is if they made that call in the playoffs, when it came down to it, and if I was in a position to do so, there'd probably be a gas fire involved somewhere.
Give me the light.
Again, sometimes you get calls, sometimes you miss calls, sometimes they go for you, sometimes they go against, all of that stuff. But to have a win and a loss, I mean, it's not like it was guaranteed that they were going to win that game, but they would have lived to fight another day. It would have went to overtime, all of that stuff, and they had a shot. But again, the thing that hurts more for me is the fact that if we were anywhere near full strength, we would have ran the court up and down with them. Like, I'm still kind of hurting about that. I don't know if that's a topic we're going into a little bit later on. I'll kind of save my musings on that for a little bit later. But it's just tough knowing that we're rolling out the mash unit, and we probably should have stomped this team, at full strength.
Yeah.
That is true. I mean, that's if everything. I mean, they are a good team at home. They've won 18 games at home. They're a much better team at home than they are on the road.
Well
But
coached.
they're a well coached team, and even the way the game unfolded, like the Knicks were towards the end of it, they were kind of coming on. So you definitely think if they were at full strength, they probably would have won the game. I mean, Dylan Brooks aside, who was doing Dylan Brooks things. But they probably would have won the game.
Yeah.
But Ty, I mean, let's not rehash what happened. They're appealing now. So what do you think is going to happen with the appeal?
No, absolutely nothing. That's the NBA integrity is, three blind mice. I don't think that they're going to act like anything ever happened. It's the Knicks. They're going to say, referees will train them more. We'll sit down and have some, they'll sit on our lap and we'll spank them and say bad ref and still pay them. There's not much ever going to go on with these guys. I think that's really what's missing out of the league for, if you want to say integrity purposes, is that these refs should be fined and they should be dragged a little more out in public and say, hey, you know what? We do recognize our product looked tainted at this point. They got it wrong. It's not enough to do what is it, last 2-minute report. They throw that garbage completely out the window. That's neither here nor there. It doesn't change the fact that the game was blown. And granted, the referees don't have an easy job, so I don't want to poo-poo and make it about them needing to be perfect. You're going to miss calls. Yeah. It's just part of the game. I think it's the blatant audacity when you see things and you're like, my eyes are not deceiving me. They will make you think 2 or 3 times as a fan base watching the game that, wait, was that not a travel? Was that not a elbow? There were so many calls in the game, not just that last call. That last call to me was like just summarizing the total game. Because as a Knicks fan, if you ever hear while I'm watching a game, I'm about good basketball. I know I love the Knicks, but it's about good basketball and good basketball calls. If it was my team doing it, I'd be just as pissed. Like, come on, play the game the right damn way as much as possible. I don't want to see no one get cheated out of the game. I want to see them, prove that whoever lost, the better team won or lost. That's fine. But the issue more so is like them bringing it to the league's attention. They need to bring this to the league's attention. They've been knowing about this. How many refs, how many coaches at the end of the game we saw with the head coach of Toronto, going on a tirade about the free throw disparity that saw his team shoot 2 to 23 that the LA Lakers actually got in the fourth quarter of all things. 23 free throws. Come on, that's just damn ridiculous. We know there's a tier system. The NBA has always had a tier system. Superstars get superstars calls. We've known all those things. It's just when it's egregiously so bad and it's throughout the game, and then you're subject to watch that because, one, we pay no matter what. If you're watching it on cable, you're streaming it, you're going to the games, you're buying them apparel, whatever it is to your fan base or your team, you're supporting them financially. There's nothing worse than watching your team get robbed in the middle of that. And then the answer to the league is, let me bring out this dumbass report that we've watched for 48 minutes of the crappy job your guys have done already. Do I need the insult to injury to bring in a 2-minute report to state the obvious that you screwed the game and you screwed whatever team is on the end of that for that particular night? It does look like it's Vegas, generated. People often, I don't know about betting, so pardon me for even talking about betting, but they said the line was good on the Rockets. So, I guess Ed Malloy had money because, what else do you explain when watching how that team of referees operated? For the league to come out now after the Knicks are submitting this complaint, basically all it is, saying, what do they want to replay the game? The league's not going to do that. That's admitting guilt. That's admitting tremendous guilt on your behalf of saying you have a faulty product because it opens the floodgate. Once again, it's like Diddy settling, and then the floodgates open with a whole bunch of other people. Then imagine what happens if they allow the Knicks to now come in and replay these games, and a lot of teams are going to be like, hey, wait about, it's going to be a parade to the commissioner's office stating, well, what about this game also? And what about this game? Because it's just going to be refutable each time that one team believes that the referees didn't get it right. So I don't see them allowing that to happen. But I do like the fact that it brought attention to the league in a negative manner to let them know, get your shit together. Excuse my language, but that's really what it's about. You've got to start cleaning up this game so people don't feel like they're watching WWE, because that's what it's really turned into for the last 10 years or whatever. The antics, the missed calls, there's like a laundry list of how the NBA has become unwatchable from the referees allowing a lot of shenanigans to go on, whether it's not calling the travel, not calling the palming. Certain guys are just getting away with murder on the floor, and the refs are like acquiescing to it. They're like, oh, okay, well, we won't notice that, James Harden is, dribbled 5 times to shoot a 3-point shot. They're like, well, we just will ignore it. This is his move. Patrick Ewing may have gotten away with what they were mad Pat got away with one extra step. These dudes are taking full suitcases and plane tickets and traveling all over the floor, doing what the hell they want. And the referees have just been literally wearing an eye patch. Like, I can't see out of this. My peripheral's bad. I didn't see all that happening. You had 3 refs on the floor. I think back in the days it was 2 refs. And you got replay now. You mean to tell me you can't even put a referee on a monitor in the back to kind of, when this gets down to these last plays, be able to inject, say something about it wrong?
Yeah, like that was the other thing with that game too, because they went to review the time on the clock.
Yeah.
So you had to watch the play again anyway. Why can't you review it again to make the right call? Just because the team has to do it? Because the Knicks didn't have a challenge left? Like, the flip side for me to that is what the NFL did, how they changed. The NFL used to be, the team always used to have to do the review, but now under 2 minutes, at the end of the half and at the end of the game, under 2 minutes, it's booth reviews. Yes, automatically done. So I think Ty's having some technical issues. So we are why can't the NBA do that? Why can't the NBA do the same thing? Under a minute, whatever the case may be. I don't know. I don't get it.
I think a lot of those were driven by playoff level football games that someone was clearly robbed. I think that kind of drives rule changes and that sort of thing. I don't know that. Again, you usually don't clear out annoyances until something really significant happens. If this happened in a game 7 somewhere and somebody lost a series over it, it would get a lot more attention. This is something that'll make some noise. It'll get brushed under the carpet. It'll become what it is. But I think part of what the Knicks turning around and filing an official complaint about this is there's this whole equity game that happens with calls in the NBA. Whereas, for example, Randall used to turn down.
I can still hear you. Yeah, it seems like we're having some technical difficulties, guys. So please bear with us for a minute. But that call.
Hear me when I turned off the cam?
I probably, yeah. If you turn off the camera, it uses less bandwidth, so I might be able. You can still talk, and I'll hear you, and then I just won't see you.
Were you not able to hear me before?
I could hear you, yes, but your camera, you look like Max Headroom right now. Your head's like moving all over the place. So if you just shut down your camera, click the stop cam button, you'll be all right. You'll be okay. All right, try talking. Okay. Yeah, there you go.
What I was saying basically is this whole equity situation with calls. The reason Randall complains about every call is he feels like if he's digging, or he used to anyway, is if he's digging into the refs enough, at some point he's going to get a call that maybe shouldn't have come his way to go his way. And I think it's the same thing with the Knicks. They can't change it. They know that it's not going to turn into a W. So I think this is just some kind of a statement that hopefully they'll get something on the back end. I think there is that game with the referees that goes on with teams and players. So we'll see what happens, man.
Yeah, it's going to be very, very interesting. I'm kind of hoping they do win the appeal. We haven't had one, I think, since 2007. They said when Shaq apparently he fouled out. They said he had 6 fouls, but he only had 5. I think that's the last time that an appeal there was actually a team won. I don't. How do you miss the fouls when not only are the refs tracking it, but so is the statistician? So, so that one was a shock to me. Like, how do 2 people miss that and no one say anything? It's crazy. That was a crazy one. So that's the last time that an appeal was actually upheld and they replayed the game. So I mean, the cool thing about this would be it would just be an overtime period, right? So it would just be an extra 5 minutes that they're playing. So yeah, it's gonna have to wait and see what happens with it. But it speaks to the larger thing, like I was saying before, how just officiating is so poor. He's back magically. Look,
I'm back.
Well, yeah, it's like what you were saying before. Yeah, that was good. Just kind of reiterating what you were saying before about how they got to get it under control, and this has been an issue. Not only like you said, not only with this missing calls, but allowing players to do things, and they just now it just becomes part of the game, right? That step back that Harden did was never part of the game. Now everyone does it, right?
Yeah.
So
it's just an insult to your eyes. I mean, like I said, I grew up watching this game for a long time, and I've watched it played at a great high level. And then this is how crazy I'm about this game, because I know I'm probably a super nerd about it. But I recall Danny Ainge in Boston Garden. It always pissed me off. I still think about this move till the day. He actually was playing. This is during the playoffs against the Lakers, and he carried the ball like 4 steps. And that still irritates me to this day. And that was in 1986, because I'm like, well, look, how the hell do you miss those calls? Because they're right. It's a difference if it's like under the cover of dark, you can't see, a player block, they can't see obviously everything. But those blatant damn calls, come on, refs. The league's integrity is on the line. We hear about a lot of the stars getting away with absolute murder. Jordan may have. Who knows if he picked up his pivot? We know the little things that can happen in a game where certain guys, the LeBrons and the great ones, are not going to get called. They're not going to see that.
You brought up Jordan, right? But the last shot he took, everyone says he pushed off, right, to Brian Russell.
It's a charge.
And he did, right? Like he did. If you watch it, he clearly pushed off. But
and I always said that was one of the more brilliant moves I've seen, because it was a playground move. Because I'm like, oh, he pushed off. But the refs they wouldn't. He did it so good that it was just they couldn't see it. I can understand the refs missing that, because they're so slight, but it was such an advantage to do that. But we watched that game. I kept calling travel on Sagoon all the whole game. I'm like, how many travels you gonna? That was egregious. Now that you want to talk about a play, then how about the Brunson play? All right, he jumped. Verticality. We hope that he didn't brush against them. The Sagoon travel in the lane where he looked like he broke his back, then he got back up and he fixed his back, then he blew out a knee. He traveled so that was one of the ugliest.
It was.
And I'm like, well, how the hell did you? It's a difference when left-handed players. Sometimes I'm left-handed. We can look like we are maybe traveling sometimes because of the awkwardness of the handle. But this dude is right-handed, and his right-handed ass traveled a lot in that one lane move. And I'm like, how did you call that? Come on.
Yeah, it was that was the other one, that the other really, really bad missed call. Because I mean, he did get bottled up, but I'm like, if you're not going to call a foul, then you got to call the travel. Like, there was something happened on that play.
Yeah.
So yeah, and they just nothing. So I don't know. I could talk about officiating all night. It would literally could be a show in and of itself. But again, I try not to, and I say this all the time, I try not to blame them, because it's just bad all across. I just want it to be consistent, which is what Thibodeau said.
Yeah.
So when you look at the difference in free throw attempts, that's not a consistent game, consistently called game. It just wasn't. So who knows? We will see what happens with this appeal. Like I said with you, I don't know if you heard me, Ty. I said I was kind of hoping that they do win it. The last time we had 1-1 was Shaq in 2007,
6 fouls,
right?
right? Yeah.
Yeah, the 6 foul. Yeah, so it'd be cool because this would just be an overtime period, right? You just play 5 minutes overtime, and you see what happens. To see who wins the game. So
Was that in Orlando with Shaq?
it was, yeah.
I'm like, what was it? Brian Hill was he the coach? I mean, how the hell? What, nobody had calculators back then. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah.
Well, that's what I said. I'm like, not only are the refs keeping track, but so are the statisticians. So nobody knew it.
Somebody need to get fired that damn job, that game, because even the refs are goofballs. Yeah, you should know the foul count on your best player. It was Shaq. It's either Penny might have been on there, but it still was Shaq's team. You mean to tell me there was no one on there? It's like, oh, how many we got? And they started counting 1, 2. I mean, how the hell did you not know Shaq had? He that a lot to begin with. Back then, because he would bully and push his.
Yes.
Refs didn't know how to referee. How the hell did you miss that he didn't have 6 fouls?
That's not technically a judgment call. That's just counting. You're right. There's no. You're just counting at that point.
Like, wait, so. They went to the locker. Like, wait, hold on. You don't do that. You need to get fired for that. That's you can't be the coach.
All right, so really quickly, the underman Knicks are winning right now against Orlando, 39-27. So with just beginning of the second quarter, so they're playing well, playing with heart. Brunson is playing, so when he plays, they have a shot. Normally, right? They have a shot to win.
I think Brunson in this game is crazy.
Well, we brought it up right at the right time because there we go. You see, the banner I put is walking wounded. Is it attrition or just unfortunate turn of events? I mean, we've talked about this in the past with this coach. This coach likes to play his starters ridiculous minutes. He's done it his entire career. It's been documented no matter where he's been. That's something that he does. So I've said enough about this topic in the past. I don't know what else I can say. But Joe, you said you had something you wanted to say, so go ahead, man.
Going off of what you just said, I think it's a combination, honestly, of factors. The Randall thing was a freak injury. Hartenstein came to the Knicks with the Achilles, and there's nothing to do. I mean, nothing for nothing. This survived an off-season of rest. So, that's flexibility and PT and training and stuff like that. So you can't really throw that on him. DiVincenzo's been playing a lot of minutes. Hamstring came up, so that could be overuse. I mean, he's known for doing this. I don't know that the big injuries right now you could really attribute to Thibodeau. But that doesn't mean it's not going to happen next month or next year. With some of these players, because he just doesn't seem to be able to let go. You hear that whole there's that no lead is safe narrative. Well, BS. Some leads are pretty safe. You know what I mean? You have a pretty deep team. You know what I mean? That's one of the strengths of the team. Put your bench players out there and preserve the lead. Worst comes to worst, if you start to lose the lead, yes, put them back in. But there's something I love about him and I can't stand about him, and it's that every game is like the 7th game of the NBA Finals. He cannot just sit down and strategically say, you know what, we're going to take an L on this one. We're going to rest some players. We're going to come back stronger, because he just can't shut off that drive within him that every game is critical.
Yep.
So it's a lack of critical thinking, I think, on his part. I mean, I admire the guy's drive in a way, but it has caused, let's face it caused Derrick Rose's injury. It caused Derrick Rose probably his career. What he ran through with Joakim Noah, Luol Deng, Taj Gibson even. I mean, what are these guys, post-playing careers are going to probably be filled with pain from the amount of hours and minutes that he played them. I don't know. It's been frustrating watching all of this. It's kind of like you got this sports car because after the all the trades that happened leading up to the deadline between the Achua and Anunoby trade and the Bogdanovich and Burks trade, you're kind of looking at this roster and you're like, damn, I can't wait to see this thing go, really go. And it's kind of like having that sports car in the shop and there's like significant work and you're not going to see it soon. And you got like this loner green Camry with a white door, that has a beat up stereo system and just it's like a bad scene. And he can't wait to get that car out and get it running. Like that's kind of what I'm feeling right now. Like I would love to see this team in full health and going through. I don't know if we can throw all of this on Tibbs. I think that it is kind of some bad luck and some freak stuff and some players even came in with injuries. But that doesn't mean that it means it hasn't happened yet, that he hasn't run somebody into the ground. I said at the beginning of the season, I thought this was going to be his last season. But if we make a run, that might not happen. That might not happen at all. He may get extended, depending on if they show considerable progress in the playoffs. And do we worry about Jalen Brunson going down with an ACL that didn't need to happen or an Achilles that didn't need to happen?
Don't even say that. Don't even put that out there. God.
If history doesn't teach us anything, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, that stuff's well documented. I mean, it's completely within the realm of the possibility because it's happened before, and there's been no sea change in the mind of the man. So, I don't want to jinx anybody or anything like that, but it's a concern. It's definitely a concern.
No. Yeah, I mean, like you said, it might not have happened yet, but it could exacerbate it, right? It's exacerbating everything, and then in the future, when it happens, you can't specifically say, well, that's why, but it definitely doesn't help matters, especially when you see the great coaches like Popovich who sits players, who rests guys. Look, we might hate load management because I don't particularly like it, but if I'm trying to win a championship, I understand it, right? Like I understand the idea of doing that. And yes, you can say, well, the players in the past played all these minutes. That's fine. Congratulations. But science evolves, right? And things evolve. So if you're looking at something and it says, players are better playing this amount of minutes, they're more preserved, they're better, they're at their peak when you play. You didn't have that technology all those years ago, so things just change in advance. But with him, he's an old school coach, right? He is.
I think the big concern that I have with the situation is, I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but
no, go ahead.
Like players like Randall and Brunson, they're warriors. They're going to play hurt. They're going to play if they can pick up a bat ball and go out. DiVincenzo, I've seen tweak his ankle twice and keep playing over the last 2 weeks. Right? These are guys that you probably need somebody on the other part of that equation speaking some sense to them. Like, look, you have it's like when you were a kid and you had that one friend growing up and you're like thinking of doing something stupid. He's like, yeah, you should do it. You should do it, man. You should do it. Next thing you know, you're in the emergency room or you're like suspended from school or something. Like Thibodeau's that friend. Like, yeah, you should play, man. You should definitely play. Suck it up. Yeah.
Well, I keep hearing the sinister. I like to call Ty's laugh when he laughs like the sinister laugh. I keep hearing it. So what are you thinking, man? There's something going on in that brain.
No, Joe had me laughing, but I've always said that if Tom Thibodeau was a serial killer, he would just use a blunt object. He would catch it automatically. His fingerprints would be all over the place. The blood patterns, and he was just sitting there with the knife, rocking, eating a donut, and everybody would know, well, you really got to take this to trial, and they go, no, I look at the donut on the body. This is who this damn dude is. I mean, it's just a damn shame that he has just never adjusted whatsoever. We wait for the, and it's like, he's gonna kill Derrick Rose by the middle of the year. That's just really how you look at him. And the same thing with Brunson. You are waiting for the body to drop. What's that song called? Let the Bodies Hit the Floor?
Let the bodies
Yes.
You're waiting for that. You're literally waiting. And the minute I saw OG Anunoby with the elbow, I'm like, well, he probably never shot that much in his damn life and played that many minutes shooting. So, who knows? I mean, granted, the injuries before, but I'm like, Tom Thibodeau is like the worst coach to have bring in players that are either older or players that may have a reoccurring injury, like Hardenstein and all those guys. You're going to get injured under him. You're going to get injured because he will not save you from yourself. And that's what you mean by that, Joe. He will watch you walk off the edge and be like, hey, I know you don't have another step. Why don't you go ahead and take one more step? We believe you can fly. He's literally on one of those. He doesn't, and it's the most ignorant thing because there's no regular season championships.
No.
I don't care what the NBA made up this year. I don't care what that goofy trophy that LA got. There's no regular season championships. But this guy plays, I should say coaches, like it's the last game of his life. To the point that by the time, and we did see it with Riley, you kill your guys way too soon, then they have nothing left in the playoffs. That's been a demise of Riley's teams for a long time. Overusage of guys, not when he was in LA, but when we're talking about New York, we're talking about Miami. He's been known to be a ridiculous taskmaster. And then looking at a guy like Thibodeau, it's like, dude, you already cut Derrick Rose's life. You made Derrick Rose into a shaman. He crying in Minnesota. No, he finally got it back. No offense, but I'm like, he's bellowing because he's like, damn, dude, I thought I was over with. That's really what he was crying about in Minnesota that year. I thought I was done, and here I'm scoring 50 points. The same thing applies when I watch Jalen Brunson. That's why when we talked about the trades that happened, and trading away the youth and all this, et cetera, I get it. Don't get me wrong. Eric knows I've always been a person that believed we built through the draft. The slow build, I have no problem with that. Then I look at a guy like Jalen Brunson, and the reason why I'm so concerned is that he is really great. He's maybe one of the best free agents ever signed in NBA history. Definitely one of the best for the Knicks, period, point blank.
Value-wise, yes. Value-wise, for sure.
And I'm looking at this dude now, and I'm like, he's got a small window under this coach. He does. He has a small damn window. If you tap him as being your best player and you believe he's a top 15 player, then you got to go for it before Thibodeau kills him. I told you, he's going to be Lieutenant Dan. He's just going to become a Lieutenant Dan. By the time he's done, Farr's going to own the shrimp boat. Dan's going to come in with his steel legs. Brunson's going to be Lieutenant Dan by the time this damn thing is set and done.
He's going to have magic legs.
You don't care about Bubba or them damn shrimp. He is lock and loaded to kill Jalen Brunson. I mean, it's just crazy because he doesn't know how to bubble wrap his damn players.
No.
We've seen this, and granted, you can't come to the Knicks injured at all. OG Anunoby, whoever, if you had an injury beforehand, Thibodeau is going to make sure that injury is fully stretched out. You're going to do the max, and he's going to burn out whatever you got wrong with you. Randall was an unfortunate thing because the fall contributed to that. We can't say that with Thibodeau, and Randall's built to play 82 games. Mm-hmm. He's just a hell of an athlete. I mean, a guy like Brunson probably built for 82 games. But the times when you had him out there, when you could have subbed out, you see an 18-1 run go, and you got to bring him off the bench because your refusal to call a timeout. These things like this kill players. Even Josh Hart has been very vocal about playing 40 minutes. Usually guys want to play a lot of minutes. They're like, oh, I don't want to come out the game. And Josh Hart is like, look, dude, you're trying to kill me. Can we get somebody else in here? That's crazy when your players are saying that who want to play. Like, no, cut my minutes. I don't want to keep doing it, So it's a dangerous thing in all seriousness when thinking about him as the coach of these guys. You will have a very short window to excel. And the sooner these guys get back healthy will be the better, because Brunson may not be Brunson if this continues to go along this long, and he's the reason why you're winning or losing games, and he's playing an extra amount of minutes that he should not be playing because this coach won't adjust. He just won't adjust. He's going to burn him out.
Another danger with all of this stuff is if you start to re-sign a lot of these players and they start to break down like Luol Deng broke down, like Joakim Noah broke down, like a lot of those guys broke down. I mean, you could play players like that for a certain amount of time, but you are cutting their shelf life.
Yeah.
So those second contracts for Brunson and Randall, let's say if that's an option, are they going to be – yeah. I think this is one of the things that we're all pretty much aligned at. One thing that drives us all pretty much crazy.
Yeah. I'm concerned. I mean, I'm concerned definitely with the idea. Like I said, Brunson, like I said, is a great player. I mean, I'm a fan. I'm a fan of Jalen Brunson's.
Yeah.
And to watch, I know where he is now. I don't know if he's going to win the Knicks a title. I just know that we've not had a player at this caliber with the team assets that we have, with the ability to possibly get us to win a title. I think this is the closest the Knicks will ever be, probably for all of us, in knowing that we have all the assets and the talent and maybe a 1A talent in this league to lead us there. This window's 2 years.
I know.
And that's if Brunson gets out of this year. I hate to say that to Knicks fans because I don't want to wish it. But come on, somebody's got to come back healthy to relieve this guy. I mean, Julius would be ideal. But there's so much much like we saw with Derrick Rose, everything's riding on Brunson's back. When you think about it, Rose was the same way. He had Boozer and he had Dang, but none of them were the ilk of Derrick Rose. And we watched him get burned out playing a lot of minutes. We know the dunking probably didn't help also. He's admitted to that. But this coach does not know how to bubble wrap players and say, hey, look, you know what? Let's live the fight. Well, let's win the war, not the fight today. And he doesn't get that concept.
I think the biggest sin on all of this, and it's not true lately, but it's been true at various points during the season, even before the trades and everything like that, is I'm thinking about those Chicago Bulls teams and going through my old man recollection, which can be spotty at best. I don't seem to remember them having a significant bench at all.
No.
I can't think of a single player that was of significance on those teams off of the bench. He's got one of the best benches in the NBA right now, and he's still pulling this stuff.
Yeah.
Like,
I can't either.
Ronnie Brewer.
It almost made sense. Yeah, I'm going to play Luol Deng 38 minutes because who else do I have?
Yeah.
But it doesn't have to be with this team because of the strengths of the team. Again,
especially now.
If we see that going into when this team's healthy and we're still seeing the same thing, it's just a sign of somebody who cannot switch gears on the clutch.
Yeah, he can.
You know what I mean? He can't conceive of a world in which he's not keeping his best players out there for the entire time.
He's incapable.
I mean, say what you want about him, like him or hate him, or thought he wasn't worth it, whatever. But we saw this with Obi, right? Like, Obi would be in the game playing well, and he yanks him anyway because Randall has to get his 40 minutes. Like, that's pretty much what it was.
Yeah.
And it was crazy because at the time I'm thinking, well, you're not developing him, but also you're taxing your best player in games that doesn't need to be like he doesn't need that. So to me, he's not changing. This is who he is. He said he was going to, but it's not happening. So we need to just take that out of our head. Understand that, like Ty says, we probably have a 2-year window with Brunson at this. And then he's going to sign his big contract. He'll probably get hurt. And then, we'll be in cap hell again because that's just what the Knicks do. I'm sorry if I'm being pessimistic, but that's just I've been on this road, I've been on this ride before. So
let me ask a serious question to you guys. Do you think that now Randall, you say Randall's built for 40 minutes. Maybe no one's built for 40 minutes. Do you think that his usage over a very long season may have contributed to the injury he had in the playoffs and or his playoff performances? Do you think maybe he ran out?
Yeah. I
know he catches a lot of hell for that, but maybe that is not the only
Oh, I agree.
root cause.
I mean, there's no grace to his game, right? Like we could say a lot about Julius Randle, but he's not a graceful player. He's a very rugged.
Yeah.
He takes hits. He relishes contact. That's the kind of player he is. So I don't care how big you are, your body, you're still human, and you keep taking those kinds of hits, your body's going to eventually wear down. That's
And
the problem.
exhaustion.
So, huh?
And exhaustion, not only the
Yeah.
hits, but
Yeah,
Yeah.
like there's a ton of stuff, but now you're saying both, right? So you're saying exhaustion, but he's also having the physical part of it. And before they had Brunson, like Barrett was young, yeah, he could do things every once in a while, but he wasn't of that stature yet. So he was doing all of the heavy lifting pretty much on his own. And yeah, of course it's going to take a toll. Like, and the other thing with him is before he came here, he wasn't used that way.
no.
So it was another layer you're adding to it. Like he's doing something new that he'd never done before, and all these other things that are added in. So I definitely do think, yes, that all of that has been a factor with the injuries at the end of the season. I mean, the ankle stuff, you jump up, you land on someone's foot, you sprain your ankle. That's I mean, that happens. But I do think that the way he plays maybe contributed it to, because if you're taking a beating after a while, you kind of pull back on that stuff. You know, you step a little differently. You know, if you have a little tweak or something, a little bruise, you might,
I agree with that completely.
right? So
And you got to
that's
say,
what I,
you got to see the mental aspect too. When you
Yeah.
physically don't feel right, you're mentally not going to feel right either. And now you got these teams coming at you. And the one thing about Randall, you don't question his conditioning and his dedication. These are things I always tell people. Nobody,
Or his heart.
or his heart.
Yeah.
Nobody questions any of those things about him. It's always been the mentality. And the one thing about it, if you're fatigued, physically, mentally, if your noodle's not sharp, let me tell you what's going to happen. It's going to be damn ugly. And the coach did him no favors in say the first year with the bubble. He did him no favors when your schemes were to take a guy out of what makes him great or makes him, an all-star level talent, and you turn him into a wing operating on a side of the court he never liked operating on. There's just little things like when you look at Randall, albeit I think the being spooked thing was a real thing for me. I said
Sure.
initially, it's like he's out of it. And you could see now kind of the relief he has with Brunson being on the team because he's like, I don't got to do none of that crap. I don't got to do none of the rest of that. I can just focus in on what I do really well, which is, be a tremendous finisher and, a downhill player. That's what's great about Randall. But this coach didn't have the awareness to say, well, maybe we should try to help him. Literally, I mean, that's the question. Do you maybe want to literally help him? Design some plays that take a lot of the responsibility out of his hands because he probably was, worn down. You're doing that for 82 games. You played all 82 of those games. He doesn't miss games. After a while, now you're saying, let me go into playoffs and I got to up my level of play. So now I'm carrying a whole franchise on my back with young guys who can't help me. Yeah, it was a recipe for disaster because this coach won't make any adjustments to make his players comfortable. He don't believe they should be comfortable. That's the thing that I always thought was kind of crazy. It's like if they've used 50 games, they've worked their ass for you as a coach, and they're dedicated to what your plan is. Then what you should at least do towards the end of the season, say, hey, let's start dialing this stuff a little back. Let us start thinking more about the playoffs. You see Eric Spoelstra, see all these coaches, all the great coaches end up dialing it back and saying, I'm going to play some of these guys. Thibodeau's like, no, all starters, all 82 games. I don't care if you're tired. You just go out. And it's like, what coach is he? Who is he following? When you think about who he comes from, no championship coach I've ever seen that I can recall ever played that style and that mentality of basketball and won. I don't recall it. Because when we talk about Riley winning, it's because when he did come down from Miami, the players had to have a conversation really with him, like, we don't really want you here because you're extreme. And that had to be a conversation had before he took over for Stan Van Gundy. So there's been no taskmaster coach that I've seen, because Riley failed in New York by not wanting to be flexible with Rolando Blackman bringing his wife on the plane. This is literally what this was all about, which is the most absurd damn thing I've ever believed. That's why Rolando never got played in that game against Houston in the finals. So you've seen these guys be rigid. I've not recalled it working, even Miami. It didn't work when Riley was coaching with the Heat. He burned out his players too. When he was coaching before Shaq and Wade is what I'm talking about.
Right.
Those always burned out at some point, couldn't get past the second round. You know, that's exactly what we're seeing now with Thibodeau. If he goes back and looks at the history of this game, he checks all this tape and all this other stuff. The history of the game has showed you that well-balanced coaches are who won the most rings in this business. And he got one ring, but it's never been as a head. He's got that ring as an assistant. And I've always said him and Doc Rivers need each other. Both those dudes ain't won nothing since they split up.
Yeah, that's fair.
They haven't won anything. What have they won? They've won Coaches of the Year.
Well,
that's
yep. Well, we're talking about Julius, and according to an article yesterday, they have a plan set for him to return post All-Star break. So I don't know what the plan is. I'm sure that means they have to, kind of get him up to speed and bring him back because he's been out for a while and all of that. So I'll say we've been hard on him, especially Ty and I have been hard on him since he's been here. The expectations that we had for Randall, things that he's done that has kind of pushed us the other way. But I know one thing I've noticed since he's been out is I'm sure Jalen Brunson misses him. And I definitely think that he's proving to me more now that he's needed. And Ty, you're right, Hartenstein just as important. Obviously, you said that he's just as important when he's not in the game. Either center, it'd be nice to have Mitch right now, but either center right now, it's kind of, they're not. The Knicks are missing them, and they're missing Julius as well. So I don't know. He's on track to return post All-Star break. He's going to, like I said, ramp up, and I don't know what that means. But what do you guys think is a realistic time frame that he'll return?
I think him coming back after the All-Star game is too soon. And I mean, I would say the show is, I think several times it's been said the show is critical of Randall. I don't think I've been critical of Randall. I think I'm probably the resident.
No. Me and Ty.
But
it's half the Oreo. It wasn't you.
There's going to be a problem with that. I'm sure he feels like he can play. But again, when you stretch out those ligaments and tendons, it's not like a rubber band that snaps back. They're going to stay stretched. So he has to really work on strengthening that area, which is already a strong area, to kind of keep that in socket. There's going to be a mental hurdle for him to climb, knowing that shoulder is still vulnerable.
Well, they said the article says he's been doing all of that. He's hitting specific benchmarks they have for him. And according to the plan that they devised for him, like I said, post All-Star break is what they're looking at. So
my concern is that he's going to turn into last year's Randall. Drifting on the perimeter, not playing the way he played before, at least for a period. I want him back more than as much as probably he wants to come back, because he is a really important player for our team and a major contributor to what we're trying to do. I would be shocked to see him come back and play the same brand of basketball as he comes back. I think he's going to be playing a different game, and maybe over time he'll drift back into that. But again, I hope it works out. All I know is that that shoulder is at risk. Absolutely at risk.
Right. Yep. That's what happens with that kind of injury. Once you pop it out, it can pop out again.
Yeah.
So he's probably going to have off-season surgery on it, which would be another off-season where he's having surgery.
Well, he won't have to have surgery unless there was something structurally done to one of the major tendons. Like, there's no surgery for tightening up the ligaments and the tendons in there. If he had labrum damage or if he had rotator cuff damage, Yeah, he's going to have surgery, and that's going to be a major, major.
Mhm.
I know that Brunson had a dislocated shoulder and had to have labrum surgery too after it. But if he busted up his rotator cuff or his labrum in that,
Mhm.
he's not going to come back anywhere close to 100%. I've had rotator cuff issues in both of my shoulders and labrum issues. It is going to affect his range of motion and thus his shooting form. With both of those injuries, you can't lift the arm up past a certain point.
Mhm.
So if he does have those kind of damages, I mean, he's not going to come back anywhere near 100%.
Well, then, I mean, there's really nothing that helps him than rest, other than rest. And
PT.
well, yeah, that's part of it. But I
But
just mean like,
at this point, the rest isn't really what's helping him, though, because the inflammation's gone down in the shoulder. It's not hurting him right now. It's not like he's dealing with a sore shoulder. He probably has no pain at this point. It's just it's vulnerable. Enough time has passed probably that he's not experiencing discomfort in the shoulder. It's just vulnerable.
I mean, I wonder what benchmarks they have for him. It's got to be strength. I have to imagine it's some kind of strength testing. No?
Well, nothing for nothing. Having an unstable joint is going to affect strength. Definitely.
Yeah, no, I mean, I have my left shoulders, forget it. So I have issues with it. But, and yeah, I mean, I can definitely attest to that. It is an issue.
Mhm.
But I don't know, because I'm looking at it this way. If he's not feeling any pain, then why do you think it's too soon?
Because he needs to do everything he can to stabilize the joint. It's about
Sorry, so
joint
it's building
stability.
strength, right?
Yeah.
Around the arm. Okay.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely, it's critical. Because again, after that injury, if you walked up and gave a gentle tug on his arm like that with your offhand, you probably would have pulled it out of the socket.
Nice.
Yeah.
I think this is such a dangerous time for the Knicks with their second best player. The reason being is that it's funny. Eric says the benchmark. He's like, "What is the benchmark?" I don't even think they know. Let's just talk about what it is. I don't think
Yeah,
they
I
know.
have no.
I think it just sounds like it's great. It's great information to hand out to Knicks fans with hope that we're going to see him get better. I have no doubts that whatever the benchmarks or whatever they're asking him to do, that he's ramped it up as much as possible to get
Yeah.
back into that type of condition. He's that dude.
Yeah.
You know, we've heard about the ankle injury and how he worked so hard, to get back to being in a certain level of shape in the Cleveland series. The work, if it's work, I would never worry about Randall doing the work. I think the question mark is what happens after the work? What kind of player do we have? Because I don't think I just recall Chris Webber. That's the guy who stains in my brain every time I think about dislocated shoulders. I've watched a lot of his games where he never lifted that shoulder the same again. I have some damage in my shoulder, and I just can't. My range has never gotten back to 100%. Maybe it's old man woes, I don't know, but I just know my arm won't go up. My right arm just will not go up in full range, and it probably won't ever go back up in full range. It just won't. He's an athlete. I can only imagine what that must be like, knowing that your whole job is to be physical. You have to be at a top level, athletically and mentally. How challenging that's going to be for a guy to now adjust. The fortunate thing is not his left arm; it is his right arm.
Right.
But still, when you shoot, your mechanics are both arms. It doesn't matter. There's no one hand shot put going on. When you think about like that dynamic, the Knicks we are talking about extensions. We've mentioned that before. What do you do moving forward? Because I don't think he can come back, in my opinion. I mean, I don't think he's ever going to be the same dude. I can't. There's going to be something missing out of his game, whether it's the confidence to go take the contact, or maybe he's just a kamikaze. Maybe he goes in and he says, screw everything. But in doing so, you make yourself susceptible to get your shoulder separated again.
Yeah.
So he can never. I don't think you'll see that version of being physically reckless as much as he wants. I just think it's a troubling time with the Knicks with this kind of injury because, like as Eric has said, when we extend dudes, the bottom's going to fall out.
He's got one thing that's going for him though. He has a teammate who's gone through the separated shoulder before. This happened to Brunson. Granted, he also tore his labrum, but he's gone through it. He has somebody confident that he could sit down and say, "How did you know it was 100%? How did you get confidence back in it? When did you feel it was good?" That kind of thing. But that may be the blind leading the blind because maybe he came back too quickly from that too. So you never know. Yeah. They're both warriors, but yeah, it's something. Every injury is something that an athlete mentally has to get past.
Yeah,
it's like you tear that ACL and you're an NFL running back. It's going to be a while before you you plant on that knee and you feel comfortable with it.
There's usually a 2-year window, they say, for full recovery, to get back to where you somewhat to the level you used to play at. So, I don't know. I just look at Julius's game and it's just an all physical game. I don't see, the difference with Brunson is that he's a 3-level scorer. We're learning that about him. He can get wherever he wants to get on the floor and, mid range, long range, it don't matter. He's just a bucket. With Julius, we look at that. I don't want him shooting threes, like you said, but he's probably going to have to play on the perimeter. He's probably going to have to change some mechanics of his game because, like I said, once again, we go back to Weber. Weber was a big dude. He was known to be a physically intimidating player, and then he had to go and change his game to those hook shots. And sort of like how we saw with Larry Johnson with his back. He went from grandmama to, more like wheelchair-bound mama.
Mm-hmm.
He just was not going to ever be the same type of physical player that made him special. I don't know. Julius is very skilled. He is skilled. I just don't know if his mentalities are skilled. I know I don't want to judge him by saying that.
Therein lies the rub.
Yeah, he's more like how I said about Thibodeau. Thibodeau's an effective coach, but he's a blunt object. Julius is a blunt object too. When you look at him on the floor, I don't see him saying, "Oh, I'm going to be Scottie Pippen tonight." He's saying, "No, I'm a bulldozer." As Walt will say, "Bulldozer finesse." That's the only thing he ever plays as. So I don't know. I'm a little concerned about him more than any other Knick. They give him this timetable. I don't think they need to rush him back.
I don't think they do either.
I think they might need to at least put that off till mid-March.
They have options at his spot.
Yep.
Shua can play the 4.
Yeah.
And also, Bogdanovich can play the 4. The frustrating part about all of this, and I know you guys are going to agree with this, is we finally saw the version of Randall that we wanted.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He's playing exactly like we thought he should be playing and not jacking up 8 threes a game and being the best version of himself. Only to have this kind of setback is being a Knick fan isn't easy. I mean, as much gains as we've seen, even though they seem like hypothetical gains right now, there's got to be some kind of scorpion sting at the end of it all.
Well, I was going to ask you guys, do you guys believe it? It reminds me of Serrano in Major League. He had to have Jobu in the locker, and then he had to praise his.
Give Jobu his rum.
Yeah, frock you, Jobu, and he's just abandoning the whole theory. But it's do we not feel like the Knicks need a sage bath? Not from Phil Jackson, but do we need to smoke out the garden sometimes? Thinking about. When I heard about Bogdanovich tonight, I'm like, well, damn, isn't that par for the course? The whole team's going to be out pretty soon, because that's that would be so Knick of them to have all these injuries right when we are a very good team. I would tell people, don't poo-poo about this team. Knicks got a very good team. We got probably, I'm going to say maybe the second deepest roster. Maybe I'm just going to give the Clippers their little bow, but. Because I don't want to seem like a total homer by saying that, but in saying that, what's going on, Coach? Even in saying that, I don't think there's another team equivalent to what we have as far as on the depth chart. But just as well as we're sitting there with the depth chart of that, we've been diminished. Where now one of our best players, Dante's out. when Dante went out, I'm like, damn.
He's been flirting with that for a while, man. He's looked
Yeah.
banged up. Like I said, he's had those 2 ankle
Yeah.
tweaks. We definitely need my Polish Aunt Stella to come in with the magic chicken foot, do the Slavic prayer, the old mummified chicken foot.
Something got to give, bro. We'll have to call the aunt because I'm telling you, it's just. I don't know. I just get so nervous as a Knicks fan. I think most Knicks fans are built like that anyway. Why they think what's next, and you probably don't even want the answer to that because we always we are a very good team right now. I've not said that in I don't know how long. Yeah. I don't know what you guys. I've never said that about a Knicks team in probably about 30 years. Like, damn, we got a good team, and it's like,
we got the sports car in the shop right now.
You're right. That was a great analogy.
We got the Corolla with the white door. The Corolla with the white door right
it's
now.
True. It's very much, that. And the thing is, like, we felt this way last year too, but I feel like this shot is legitimate this year. Like, they have a shot.
They do.
To make a run. And I believe that's kind of why we're all like, okay, don't rush anyone back. Just be careful. Take the time. Craig keeps bringing up the damn cushion. And I think I don't want to lose all the games that we built up in January, but, we do have a little bit of a margin for error right now. Like we said, the fact the All-Star break's coming up right now is like golden because it'll give these guys time to rest. Maybe go to Cabo for a little while or, go somewhere and chill on the beach and decompress. And, it's just a good time for this to happen. And I mean, the best thing is Brunson he only missed a game, which is crazy because that ankle injury looked worse, but he only missed a game. So, it's just I just know that they have a shot. Like, this is a season where they actually have a legitimate shot to win the East. I still wouldn't pick them right now, but they do have a legitimate shot to do it. I'm not saying they're gonna. I honestly don't think they're better than the best teams in the West, but they can win the Eastern Conference. So, that's.
Yeah, I agree. I don't see. Yeah. I don't see where, and it's funny because Joe has brought this up. He's like, you guys relax. He's like, there's going to be another avenue to get to the final or to the Eastern Conference Finals, and not that I'm doubting his basketball acumen, but I'm like, well, damn, I thought last year was our best shot, period. But these trades have made me start to say, well, wow.
And the Embiid situation.
What's that you said?
And the Embiid situation. The
Embiid, yep.
Let me say a warm what's up to Paul Patrick out there.
What's up?
What's going on, Paul?
What's up? Thank you guys for watching, of course.
Yeah, thanks for tuning in.
Yeah.
Coach has been like one of our what do we call it? Our supporters. He came out of nowhere, but we love you, bro. He just found us on YouTube and said, "Look at these losers up here. Let me support them." And then all of a sudden he came on and he's been switched on ever since.
We're not talking about trading for him. We're just saying that he's not available. That's all. Yeah, he's not available. He's hurt too, so it makes the path through the East a little bit easier. That's what we're saying. But I mean, Boston, I still probably would say is the favorite in the East. I'd have to go with them right now.
They're tough. Yeah, admittedly tough.
Yeah, but other than that, there's no team that scares me. Even Milwaukee, even though they when they're on, they beat the crap out of us all the time.
Yeah. I'm sorry, you don't know that KP is going to be healthy.
Well, that's the thing.
That's the thing with it. It's really KP. When I think about Boston, I don't think about Tatum. I don't think about Brown. I know they are the great ones on that team, but the difference has been KP. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not him and Derek White. Me and Eric talked about Tatum the other night off the grid. Tatum's always fantastic. We talked about MVPs. That's what the conversation was basically about, and why he's never mentioned. And I'm like, well, the narrative in Boston is they are where they are because of Derek White and because of Kristaps Porzingis. But Porzingis has just really been, and one of the reasons I said why we should have grabbed him, was the fact that he could play. He could be your forward right now. He could be your power forward when Randall's absent. He could have switched him over. That's a thought. But needless to say, he was going to be the difference maker for them because he can stretch the floor. You give Tatum and Brown space. Goodness gracious, what can't they do with space if there's nobody in there that's a shot blocker? Now you're relying on perimeter defense to stop a dynamic scorer. Come on.
You know something with KP, though, that I was looking at the other day? I mean, this has been widely perceived to be a resurgence for him, but I think he's still missed over 13 games this year.
He probably has.
Again, he still has the issue with availability, and if that stuff happens in April or May, they don't have a bench either. They really don't have a bench.
Yeah, that's true.
They're still vulnerable. I'm sorry, they're still vulnerable.
No, they're vulnerable. I just said I would still pick them.
Oh yeah.
But I said I think we can win the East. So clearly I think we can beat them.
Yeah.
It's just, but Ty's right. If Porzingis is healthy, he gives them an element that is tough to combat against. I can't even speak because of just the way he plays.
Yeah, when he's on, it's a thing of beauty when he's on.
I don't buy his health. I mean, I still would think that it'll come. He's a Knick, of course. He's a former Knick. We stay injured, so I'm just thinking that by the time that bug travels. We get bit everywhere. But I do believe that he's the linchpin. If he goes, they're gone. They're extremely vulnerable because he is the reason why they're a different team this year. In the past, we've seen us as a team play Boston extremely well. And that's why we wanted to get to the Eastern Conference Finals against them because we're like, well, we can maybe mop them last year. But KP's the difference maker. And this, I don't know why, in the sense that they never attack him with a physical guy that can post him up and body him. I think that's what's missing from him. The Knicks are just not athletic enough. We're so short. Thibodeau's got to figure out how to catch that adjustment because he just run him up when he's here. He's hitting threes. We know we can't defend a three. I don't give a damn who it is. That's
the biggest problem our defense has.
Yeah.
And we just don't defend the three. I don't know why. No, it's this constant thing to pack the paint with him, but
Dylan Brooks won the game the other night, basically.
If our teams are hitting threes against the Knicks, it's a long night. Always.
Dylan Brooks out there looking like Klay Thompson the other night, which I was just like.
Doesn't he have a punchable face? Dylan Brooks really has a punchable face. Like he's that guy you see and you're like, I just want to punch him in the mouth. And
he needs to come out in like clown shoes.
Yeah.
It's weird. It's weird when he's locked in though. He's a really good player.
I liked him coming out of Oregon. I'm gonna coming when he played in Oregon. I was like, that dude you might want to. And he was a second rounder, I believe, also.
Yeah, he was a second rounder.
He plays the game with the kind of nastiness that would fit in the Garden. Don't ever get it twisted. The Knicks fans would love the fact that he's edgy and willing to elbow somebody in the mouth to win a game. I mean, that's literally what it comes down to. I think he got a bad rap with the LeBron situation. Memphis let him go. I'm like, Memphis, you need that guy more than you need to let him go. He was
paid so much money. I was so surprised that he got from everything that happened. Yeah, he got paid a lot of money. So I was shocked that happened. But
especially
you're right.
He was exiled from Memphis right before that. I mean, they basically shipped him out.
Yep, they
had no interest in you.
All because they made LeBron mad. It was like
he was also nasty.
Like, why would you want him to back down?
Quirky. He really is.
I think that was a locker room decision, and you don't. When you have Jog doing what he was doing, you don't want to have another guy in there like that. So I think that's what that was. I think they were kind of like, you know what, we can't have two of these. And Ja obviously is so much better than him. Yeah. You're not going to make that decision. So, he kind of got blamed, I think, for some of their problems. And I mean, he didn't help himself with the stuff he says. He's kind of reckless when he talks. So, I mean, yeah, he definitely is. But I mean, he's one of those players that if he's on your team, you love him. If he's not on your team, you want to choke him. Like that's he's one of those guys. Marcus Smart is another guy who's like that. If he's on your team, you're like, yes, Tony Allen was like that, right? Tony Allen, you know? But okay. Boyan? Yeah. I mean, the next part he said is right. He's old. So that we covered this last time, but that's my issue. Not an issue. It's just what are we going to do with him going forward because he's 34 years old. Still can play. Obviously has injuries in his past. But I mean, he's averaging 20. He was averaging 20 before he came here. So clearly he can still play. I think it's going to help the team. I would start him if it were me, but I mean, I don't know. I would start him and keep OG on the bench, but that's just me.
I think, and also, Coach, the thing is that why they got him was because he's tradable. That's all this comes down to that big trade that they're looking for. You know,
he's a better version of Fournier and Fournier's contract.
Yeah, that's basically what he's here for.
The non-guaranteed deal too, so I think they say they're going to exercise it, but they don't have to.
It's a partial guarantee. I think there's a couple of million to get out of it that will still stay in the Bucks, but.
I mean, if you're basically getting what you wanted Fournier to be for the Knicks. I mean, if you're a Knicks fan who liked Fournier, I mean, I didn't mind Evan. I didn't think Evan was the guy that they brought in. Like what they wanted him to do. I'm like, you don't bring that dude in. He wasn't that dude. But needless to say, I think Bogdanovic is going to give you those timely buckets. You know, his game is way more versatile, and he plays defense from what I'm noticing now.
Good defender.
Yeah, you know, he's got game. I mean, it's a 2-year rental. You know, you got a little window here where the Knicks may not come out and say it, but they're a little bit all in on trying to win right now, in spite of not having that supposed other star that they're looking for. This guy gives you great depth. If you got a guy coming off your bench that can get you 20 a night, 34, 35, 36 years old, you take him and put him right on the damn bench and say,
that's exactly it. If one thing that's come to light recently with our struggles is we lack those additional scorers, those guys that can come out and get you 20, and he can legit go out and get you 20.
Yeah.
You know, you need a secondary scorer. You know, Randall's out, Brunson's out, or you need somebody to come up and be a bucket that he can do it at 34. Yeah,
he proved the other night when I was watching his game. That's the first time I really watched him. He came out against the Houston, against the Rockets. He was lit. I mean, he played a very good game, and he was a huge reason why they were even in that game. You know, when he got the rolling, nobody was stopping that train. That he was doing for a 34-year-old guy. He looked like he was doing pretty damn good out there. You know, with his AARP card, he was doing great. So I mean, I kind of like his game. Definitely, that's on your bench. When I think about that, Burks was off. Imagine Burks was on. If Burks was on in Houston, we win that game also. He was missing shots.
That's one of the things I like about the bench going forward is with Bojan, McBride, and Burks, you have 3 players in that bench that can hit damn near 40%, or I think they're all over 40%.
Yeah,
you have 3 players in that strata on both your starting 5 and your bench. That's incredible. I can't remember a Knicks team that's had something like that going on.
I don't recall it at all. We've been missing. I mean, we're looking like the Golden State that won, you know, before, like with the shooter, and then looking at a guy like, I mean, Dante DiVincenzo is damn near locked in. Like his last name is Curry right now. I mean, the way that dude is shooting the rock. I mean, Steph Curry rubbed off on him like tremendously. When you look at, you know, iron sharpens iron, and you know, hanging around Clay, and obviously the best shooter maybe ever in NBA history. I mean, I might give Bird the credit more so. You know, I'm still a Bird fan. But Curry is like, I mean, Dante's hitting shots like Curry. Outside of the half, you know, he's just not pulling up the court.
You know, this is something that I was happily wrong about. I talked about this in the beginning of the season, that I thought he had a career year from behind the three-point line because of the fact that he had Clay out there and Curry out there kind of drawing out defenses, and I thought there was going to be a drop-off. This is the thing. I have some takes where I'm right, But usually when my takes are wrong, it's good for the team, so I don't mind being wrong.
No, I hear you. Yeah, this is one you're glad to be wrong about. He's
Definitely.
He's exceeded my expectations. I was always a big fan coming out of Villanova. You know, like I said, I wanted the Knicks to actually draft him, you know, back then. And I mean, I'm just overly surprised. I mean, I know he could never finish at the rim, but he's even doing that better now. He seems like he's figured that out. You know, he took the Vaseline off his hands that he borrowed from Stephon Marbury, and he's like actually doing layups now, reverse layups. You know, he's doing really good with that.
I think, yeah. I mean, I think the bigger thing for me is I knew he could shoot, but we're starting to see other parts of his game. You're starting to see him in between. He's tacking the basket a little more. He's actually, like you said, he's actually making layups. You know, he's doing little things that you want a starting NBA shooting guard to do.
Yeah.
He's starting to do those things. So for me, that's what I'm excited about. I knew he could shoot. Like, I knew eventually that would come around. And you're right. The way he's shooting right now is just ridiculous. But, man, it's nice to see the other parts of his game fill in, because if he starts doing those things, then he can create a little more. They'll defend him differently. He's a different kind of a threat, which will only make the team better. So, yeah, I mean, his signing has been one of the better ones. We talk about Brunson, of course, Brunson. Much better, but this signing has been huge.
12-5 a year.
Yeah,
might be the best. I think it is the best signing when I think about teams and where the Knicks are. This might be one of the best off-season signings in the NBA. When you think about guys who have been brought in,
that's value.
I don't,
especially the way he's playing.
And who would have thought that this guy right now is literally replaced Julius Randle production? I mean, that's what he's really become. He's like, Julius out, I'm stepping up, and he's averaging like what he's got to be like close to 20-something points a game. I mean,
I was just about to say, in February, before he got hurt for tonight, he was averaging 25 points, shooting 45% from the field, and 38 from three. So
these Knicks got me dreaming. I mean, I haven't dreamed. Wow, it's like when
the Knicks turn him back into a pumpkin.
Yeah, they did. They did. I was gonna say it before we ended the show that they I mean, they're down 14. They're still giving fight, but it doesn't.
Yeah, this is a talent issue right now with the Knicks. They can't.
No.
This is why, to me, I think you just sacrifice these games. Sit Brunson, let him get rest, play the whole time.
I mean,
you're not winning these games.
But Precious, another 11 rebounds, 8 offensive rebounds, another 11 for him.
8?
Yeah, 8 offensive rebounds. Yeah.
That's a tip system. It keeps on pumping that crank.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, you would seem, right? You would think it is the system with Mitch doing it and then Hartenstein doing it. Now this guy comes in, he's doing it. I mean, it's kind of weird to say rebounding is a system thing, because to me it's an effort stat. If you know, but maybe they're showing them different ways to. Yeah. Maybe they're telling him, no, watch some Rodman videos. Look how he positioned himself.
Rodman took off his dress and came and decided to coach.
You know? Something. But yeah, I mean, they were winning, and then I think Orlando won on like an 18-0 run in the second quarter.
This is a talent issue. You can't roll out Josh Hart, who's probably now your second best player, and you win in that game. You're not.
I mean, they're a talented team. Orlando is extremely talented team.
We had our number this year. They've beaten us before a couple times.
The kid Franz Wagner is legit.
Yeah,
he is.
Paulo Wagner.
Mo is a bad dude. I mean, he's coming off your bench. So
yeah, Mo's good too.
Yeah,
Franz Wagner is. If he's not an all-star, he probably should be.
Yeah, he's not an all-star, but I think only Paolo made it from that team.
Yeah, Paolo made it.
Yeah. Orlando's coming. I mean, I just think that it comes down to them probably having to make sure that that's the right coach to lead them.
Yeah. Their backcourt's trash, though.
Yeah, that's really what's missing, because Suggs is not what they thought he could be.
No.
You know, and then
he was playing like that this year. He's hurt now.
Yeah.
He was coming on this year.
He did. You're right. He was putting out pretty good numbers. I just think it
Yeah,
has been a consistency issue with him. He's probably more of a combo guard than he is a point guard.
he is.
That's where I thought a guy like Emmanuel Quickly would have gone. To be very honest, somebody would have traded for him to maybe try to lead that upstart team in Orlando. And then they got Cole Anthony. I mean, he seems to light up when he comes to play us for some damn reason. But clearly, he's trying to be recruited back to the Knicks, I guess. But they're missing a backcourt. And then Fultz, obviously, very obviously talented, but it's always been whether or not he's going to be able to stay on the floor. That's with him.
I mean, when he plays, I saw something. When Fultz plays, they're a plus, like huge plus. Like he's on the floor. Yeah, like you're right. He only seems to play about 24 minutes, and then something's always going on. He's always banged up somehow.
That injury at the beginning of his career was weird. That thoracic outlet syndrome, or whatever they called that.
Props to him, though. Yeah.
That really killed him, to be honest. And then the confidence, then Philly dropping the ball. I mean, but Philly was just stupid. They draft Jason Tatum. They already won a title by now.
They gave up Tatum and another first for Fultz.
It made no sense. You had Ben Simmons. You had Tatum to that and Embiid. You win a damn title. That's the goofiest move I've ever seen. To take, and there's no knock against Fultz. It's like, but you didn't need Fultz. You already had Simmons. You already had a guy playing point. You didn't need an off-ball guy other than Tatum. He would imagine Tatum's on your floor with Simmons and Embiid's the post.
Fultz was never considered to be a distributing point guard, though. That was never really his game.
That's what I mean. He was always to me like more of a two-guard master at that point. But you got a guy who wasn't shooting than Ben Simmons. So you're asking, and Fultz's talent was holding the ball. He was a very good, off the bounce player. He asking Simmons down to go sit in the corner. I mean, it made Tatum would have been. It's just stupid. Tatum is a stud. You put all that length out on the floor, you would have Ben Simmons at almost 6'10". You would have had Tatum at 6'9", 6'10". You would have Embiid. You can put, three small people out there at that point, and you can. What are you not winning? What are you not winning?
I know. I wanted Tatum. I remember. I mean, knew we couldn't get him, but he was the guy in that draft that I remember saying, yes, this is the dude I would love to draft.
It makes Philly's always been one of the weirdest teams. They've had so many great picks. I mean, like, not saying the talent was great, but you fell on third pick. You've gotten the first pick. You've gotten the second pick. You've got all these guys, and only thing you really got so far now, if Embiid is having these issues, you got Tyrese Maxey.
I mean, all the guys they picked have been good to great NBA players. So I can't, they've all been good, at least productive players. But yeah, to how they decided to structure the team, that's the question. What like Ty said, you're doubling up on a position you had. Take the guy you don't have, balance out the roster, right? So I mean, I don't know. The draft, like I love drafts and I love that whole process. So I'm always like looking through all the stuff I can to find certain things about certain players. I mean, this is the first year I really haven't been that intent on it because the Knicks are playing so well. Last night was the first time I actually looked at a mock or not a mock, kind of a ranking, player ranking of prospects.
There's no real headliners for this draft, though.
It's a very international heavy draft.
What's the dude's name, though? The one guy who's the guy. What's his name?
The French guy.
Is he? That's the black.
Are you talking about Topic? Are you talking about Topic? The guy.
Hold on, I'll tell you in a second. I know he's got a weird. I'll tell you.
Yeah, there's another French guy who's shooting up the charts because I saw
Alexander Sarr.
Alexander Sarr. Yes,
that's the dude. He looks like the guy in that draft. The only reason I've been following it a little bit is because the Knicks still own Dallas's pick, and Dallas seems to hover around with it.
The last one I saw, they were at 21.
Yeah, they're at 19 currently now. So they were hovering around that 15 mark, 15, 16, 17 mark. So that's why I've been paying attention a little bit, but it's mostly going to be a late pick probably.
Yeah. Well, this is
both of those and get a defensive center because I don't. Hartenstein.
No, let's pick players. I don't want to be packaging, trading. Let's pick guys.
We got to start. Well, nothing for nothing. No, maybe it's not the time, especially considering the makeup of the team, to start stashing players that are going to sit and develop on our bench. Maybe a piece that'll actually benefit us, because again, Hartenstein, we shouldn't invest in with that injury, and he's probably gone next year anyway. Mitch is a big question mark. That is a major flaw in our roster.
But he's signed. Mitch is signed.
Mitch is signed, but that doesn't mean Mitch will be available.
No, I'm just saying he's signed. So how much do you want to invest in that position? Like you're saying, Hartenstein's probably gone, and you're right, but that's because they've already signed Mitch to a nice deal. If they didn't, they probably would be keeping Hartenstein, and Mitch would be the one on the outs.
There was talk.
By the time the draft comes around, Dallas is probably going to be a higher seed. You're talking about two. You're probably going to be looking at 2 draft picks that are 24 and up, probably.
Let me just say that it's a center-heavy draft. There's a lot of big guys in this draft.
They should go fishing. They're going to need support there.
So there are a lot of big dudes in this draft for them. Guys that like I said, just started looking last night, so I'm not that learned on them yet. Haven't learned that much on them, but yeah, they are definitely. There's a lot of big guys in this draft. So you do. That's the other thing. Like Coach just said, they're old, and they are. The Knicks are becoming an old team. So, I understood trading the young guys, but now if this is your core, you want to, in my opinion, you need to restock some youth, get some athletes in here.
Yeah.
You definitely need athletes in here. That's the one thing. There was a talk that Mitch was, I forgot who it was. I don't know. It wasn't one of those big dudes that said it, but apparently Mitch was discussed in a trade scenario. Yeah. I don't know if you guys heard that. So
I knew that they put a value on him. They said 2 first-rounders. Yeah, that was floated like early in the season. And I mean, out of like nowhere, like the Knicks value him as 2 first-rounders with like nothing connected to it.
They're not getting
never reading on hoop sites.
They might get 2 pieces of bubble gum right now. They're not going to get 2 damn first.
No, they're not getting 2 first-rounders.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. I mean, I think you got to entertain trading him. I know people don't want to hear that, but I'm just of the mindset. We are talking about health. We're talking about long-term health. And what is his ceiling? Is his ceiling what we see now? That he's a 7-8-point getter, 9 rebound person, and 1.5 block shots with no offensive prowess whatsoever. I mean, we've seen a couple of times, this going back 2 years ago, 3 years ago, where Nerlens Noel replaced Mitch, and we didn't know Mitch was missing. Mm-hmm. So that's what I've always been my thing. Like, if Nerlens Noel can fill in for him, I don't see the value in overpaying for him or keeping him, other than for the aesthetics that you kept the player you developed. What he provides is replicated. It has been replicated.
Our peak opportunity to move off of him was after his last season, at the end of last season, after how he dominated in that Cleveland series and how much of a factor he was in that Cleveland series. You could have probably garnered interest in that then. And I mean, I don't want to turn around and, well, you're right, Coach. You're absolutely right. I mean, I don't want to sit down and downplay the significance of the man, because he looked great this year.
Yeah.
Defensively, he looked fantastic. It's just, what my issues have always been with him.
Health.
Yeah.
It's a health issue with me, even more so. I mean, I don't want to poo-poo what he does. We know what he brings to the table, but we're also asking, did you miss him right now? Do you miss him in the lineup? When Hartenstein went into this lineup, never get it mistaken, the dynamic of this team changed. Mm-hmm. Because Hartenstein he's been a rebounding monster. He's been protecting the rim. He's been playmaking. Where do you fit Mitch into doing any of those things? I mean, other than him being a backup.
Like, I miss both of them being available.
Well, the availability is the key thing. Yes, I agree with that. The availability is that. But it's just more so, I'm like, does his value, would you never not trade him? Like, is there a scenario you go, well,
no,
you can't trade him? I don't think there's a scenario that says we can't trade him. I don't think he has a value right now with the injury history. The injury history is huge. Who's going to trade for some guy you don't know if he's going to play 50 games a year? Because once again, albeit it's a freak accident.
Somebody traded for Ben Simmons.
Yeah, which I bet you everybody in Brooklyn got
Okay.
fired.
Okay, hang on. I agree with that, but Ben Simmons, well, you're adding the craziness to Ben Simmons, right? Like, that's part of Ben Simmons, but
He has mental and physical injuries.
yeah, but you take a chance on him because his talent is so high. And if it does click, you're getting a great player. That's what it is. So
but they gave a lot for him.
no, that was crazy. That was nuts. That should never, yeah. But that's the thing with Simmons. Like his talent level is so high, and every coach is like, "Oh, I could unlock it. I'll do it. I could get it out of him." Every coach thinks they could do that with every player. He'll play for me, sure. And then when he doesn't, like we saw that, like with Harden, right? The only reason Harden keeps getting chances and traded is because he's had such a great career, and when he's on, you know how good he could be. So that's why teams keep taking a chance. But I mean, and it's working. It seems to be working in the Clippers now. So he's right about this. Coach is right about this. His contract is a declining contract. Like all the ones that they signed are declining contracts.
Mm-hmm.
So they're easier to trade as each year goes by, which is awesome. But yeah, we're gonna do as we get closer to the end of the season. Hopefully the Knicks are playing, but we will definitely talk about the draft, guys, as time goes on, because it's possible we will have 2 picks.
Yeah,
so we're gonna have to discuss, what the players that are available, and by then we'll know a little bit more about what we need. Is Hartenstein the only guy that's up this offseason? Do we have another?
Hartenstein's the only one from the core that's up.
Okay.
He's the only. And that's I think that will be the tough choice. Do you keep Mitch or you keep him? That's really what it's going to come down to. Who do you value more? Trading Mitch to be able to keep Hartenstein, or you let Hartenstein go? I mean, I think that's a real. When we'll bring it back up, obviously, Coach tune in later in the season, but it is going to be a tough decision. Depending, maybe I know the fan base is probably going to say Mitch because we've grown him, but it's going to come down. You're going to have to make those hard decisions, and then hopefully fill in for Mitch in a draft with a drafted player. For the
like draft. I said, the only thing with him is he's already signed, so you don't have to sign him. Hartenstein, you have to sign.
Yeah, I want to share one thing. I know we're wrapping things up here, but I want to just add some insight that I think I have as far as our center position. You want
to play?
I'm not that tall. I'm tall, but I'm not that tall.
You can do what Taj doing, so you can do it in a 10-day.
You let go of Hartenstein. I think that there are positions within Thibodeau's offense and Thibodeau's defense that he doesn't use well. I think center is one that he does use well. I think that Tibbs will get more out of a center. I don't think if you send Mitch or Hartenstein elsewhere, they would perform nearly as well. I think that also if you do draft centers or you do bring in a center, that is the type of player that Thibodeau will play, even though he's young, if he does the things that he wants him to do. I don't think you sign Hartenstein. I think it's going to cost too much, and that Achilles is terrifying.
Which means they'll sign him.
I think Tibbs can turn somebody else into a better center than they actually are.
Well, no, I think what Hartenstein brings, the difference thing that he brings is that he's good offensively, which we don't have. Like we have you could play him high post. He tears. He doesn't tear things up, but he finds cutters. Excellent passer, which we don't have. And that also enables you to play, like that's why he can play with Randall, because he doesn't need to be down there. Julius could be down there, right? Mm-hmm. So it kind of spreads the floor out better when you have a guy like him. So I hear what you're saying. Like I do think Tibbs has developed the defensive, has brought out the defensive stuff in him that I didn't know he had, because he's been much better defensively than I thought he could be. So I give him that credit. And obviously he developed Mitch into the player he is. So, I kudos to him for that. But I hear what Ty's saying. Like if I'm looking at the team from up high, Hartenstein's probably the better player that you'd want to keep.
Mhm.
But like I said, Mitch is already signed, so you have him. You don't have to do anything. Hartenstein, you have to sign. So
I'm looking at the one thing you brought up, Eric, which is the key thing for me with Mitch, which is not even you can't even dispute the spacing. I mean, what was the argument and the problem you saw when Julius and RJ and Mitch were in the game? Mitch won't do anything to create any spacing. He's not coming out high post to make any passes. He rarely takes the guy off the dribble. We know he won't shoot. We already know that. He's a non-shooter. So it's like when you see that kind of dynamic, he works better to me, and this is not knocking him. I just think he's a backup. I just think he's a better backup than he is a starting center.
I think that's right, but his spacing issues aren't going to be as big a problem on this roster as they were in the first half of the season.
Randall supposedly, that was his complaint, was Mitch. That's what they say. I don't know. I'm not in the locker room to hear it, but the talk has always been that Randall's issue was that Mitch is standing there. I'm just telling you what I've heard as far as through the reports. That Randall issue was more or less Mitch standing there, and he's like, he has no place to operate. So it is friendlier for a defense to know if this guy's not going to come out and he's not going to score and he's not going to try anything, then everybody else can get doubled. The key thing, what you see now with the Knicks, if you had a guy like Hartenstein, say he is replaceable, or say you can get a talent that is equivalent to what he does, it's hard to guard 5 guys. You can't double on them. There's no doubling scenario. If you have 5 guys that can pass, you're killing 99% of the NBA. Because what are you going to do? If you can score and pass, you're killing teams. If you got a guy out there you know he's not going to pass the damn ball, and he's not going to score, somebody can get double all game. You're playing 4 on 5. And that's the dynamic that with Mitch. Love Mitch. Don't think I'm knocking Mitch. It's just you can't play 4 on 5 basketball. It just makes no sense, especially when you get into a half-court set in the playoffs where the game slows down and you're like, this dude is not even a threat. He's not a threat. Let's keep attacking him because he's going to get in foul trouble. Let's get him up out of here. You can't say that about Hartenstein because you don't know what he's capable of. Because once what he's done is he's drawn out the center position that gives you all avenues to operate. You have cuts. You have a passing big man.
He has that runner too. He has that running. Yeah,
he's taking dudes off the bounce. Like he
has that.
He's very skilled. And this is not, like I said, Mitch's are hard. I get it, but we're talking about winning basketball games in May, in April, May, June. I'm taking Hartenstein in that lineup over Mitch 9 out of 10 times because it's like unless Mitch is in there for a defensive possession to stop somebody or to keep getting rebounds, I don't see. I don't
disagree with you at all. I'm talking about signing Hartenstein to an extension.
Yeah, it's dangerous. I mean, I agree with you with the injury, but I'm saying they need a player more like him, even if they don't sign him. I don't think you can go and run with Mitch at the 5 and win a title.
I think if they had somebody athletic that can run the floor, and can also block shots and rebound, I don't know that he necessarily needs what's his head's skill set, Hartenstein's skill set, but somebody that could run the floor, like really run the floor. I think
you mean like Obi Toppin?
Only that could play defense and block shots, which Obi could do.
like Jalen Durham, like that kind of.
We have. I mean, Ty and I have this thing that Thibodeau's allergic to athletes, so he doesn't want guys who can run and jump.
I've heard this before.
Yes, he doesn't want guys like that. No. He wants a bunch of lunch pail, hardworking guys who can't jump, who can run a little bit. That's what he wants.
You know, it's so funny though when I think about when we just talk about Mitch. Remember when Mitch was very athletic, and now Mitch?
Yes, he gained weight and
he became like the old 5.
Yeah.
Like the dude that, he looks like Taj Gibson. You know,
He bulked up, and yeah, he did. He added weight.
Oh, in some
added the
ways.
weight, and because that dude was block. He's the first dude I've ever seen block a 3-point shot consistently. Like,
Multiple times, yes. Consistently, yes.
But
he
the
was
player that dominated in the Cleveland series was because of the strength that he added.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, he sacrificed some of his athleticism for bulk. And I mean, you know, some guys can do it and they don't get hampered. Like their athleticism stays the same. Some guys do it and they lose something. So
No. Yeah.
You're
we're
right.
not, coach, we're not picking on him for bulking up. That's not what we're doing.
Yeah, no.
We're just saying.
I love Mitch. If you ever watch any
I do
shows,
too. I love him.
My biggest thing has always been the ceiling with Mitch. It's a legit thing. I don't think that I'm saying anything mean about him or bad spirit. It's just I've always been about winning titles. I tell you, Coach, like I'll tell everybody else. I said I would bench my mama if she wasn't playing well. I'm just sorry. It is what it is. I'm getting too old to be waiting for titles and filling out sympathy cards for players. And don't get me wrong, Mitch, love him. Love he's homegrown. He's our only homegrown left, I think, outside of
It's
Deuce.
true. Well, McBride, yeah. McBride.
Yeah, there's only 2 homegrown players. So trust. I love him for that. It's just more so. Is there more? Will there be more to his game? Because I'm telling you, when you get into the playoffs and this guy gets fouled out and you can't bring another dimension, what are you going to bring in? Jericho Sims? No offense to him either. Oh, he's another homegrown too. With Jericho Sims, but he's very limited. He's an athlete who's going to be a body. I'm telling you, the greatest thing, and your Thibodeau even say this, he said he wants to find minutes for Hartenstein because he's that damn good. And he can't pull Mitch, but he also wants that guy to get a lot of minutes because he's just as talented, but he's talented in a different realm. That's why I'm just saying, watch what he's done in the month of January. Mitch is not doing any of that.
The bottom line is we need IG Mitch. That's what we need. We need Instagram Mitch who's crossing people up and we see him handling the ball, busting guys on the dribble. That's what we need. Yes, we need that. We need that version of Mitchell Robinson. If we get that guy, we're straight. We're all good.
Listen, they don't want me to shoot, but then Hardenstein is whatever the hell he wants. I don't understand this. It's like, what is this? Thibodeau having like, I do wonder if he did tell him, don't shoot, but you can shoot. I wonder if that does happen, that dynamic.
Well, we know that's what he wants from the position. And we know he's not if you don't give him what he wants from position, he'll sit you down. We know that.
He will sit you.
We've seen it. Look at, like I said, I keep bringing up Obi, but there you go. He wanted him shooting threes. That's not what Obi does. He's like, you need to be a better 3-point shooter. RJ too, same thing. Needs to be a better 3-point shooter. That's what he wanted.
Boston's stomping Brooklyn by 40 right now.
Brooklyn's in the house.
Brooklyn. Brooklyn.
Yeah, that chant is definitely over.
Yes.
Yeah, but it's gonna be definitely an interesting. I mean, it's a good problem to have when you got 2 capable centers. So it's not.
That's true.
It's not the worst case. And you're right, Coach. It's Dolan's money. It's up to him to pay the tax. I just wonder if they will. But this is all going to depend on the success of the season, no matter which way. These certain positions are going to be marked, and same thing applies to Randall. Moving forward with the injury, how much are you going to put into him? Well, do you now look for that second star, or what you believe is the first star over Randall, because he now becomes a question mark moving forward for history, as far as, I should say, the future, about where this franchise head. Because if you can't depend on him, then you know he can easily get that shoulder popped out again. You can't sign him for max dollars,
but that hurts his value in a trade. Like,
yeah, it's a whole nother beast when you think about it. And like I said, Mitch is injury prone.
However,
has he played 50 games in any season?
However, one thing that I have to point out about that Randall injury, yes, it's always going to be there and it's always going to be a concern and he's always going to be vulnerable. However, it is not an ACL and it is not an Achilles, and it is not, a Liz Frank injury or something like that. As long as he keeps playing well, people will forget that he had that, I think. I mean, as long as he comes back strong from it. People remember Achilles, they remember Liz Frank, and they remember, the ACL. But I don't know necessarily if that's going to follow him as long as it doesn't have a recurrence. I think teams are going to know about it, but if there isn't a recurrence, it may not hurt his value. But a team for trading him might find out 6 months later that his arm went out of the socket again and is stuck with it.
Yeah, it's a weird. That's gonna be crazy. I mean, I don't think they will trade him. I just worry about how much they invest in him. I don't think they'll trade him.
The most Mitch has played is 72 games.
That's the most.
Yep.
One time.
Yep, one time. Yep. 2021, 22. He played 72 games. That's the year he set the field goal percentage record to the 76%. Same logic. What are you talking about? I don't even know what do you mean the same logic of Mitch?
Of Mitch with Randall. What do you mean, like his shortcomings, or I mean, if you want that, we got a list of those.
I mean, I know you're new to the show, so if you want to go watch some of our old stuff, Ty and I have tore Randall up to shreds on numerous occasions.
Yeah, we don't have the Randall short set. Don't never get that.
Yeah, I mean, it hasn't been pretty for him here, and a lot of it's because of expectations, but still, it's
Precious is a quarter.
Okay, see, now that's crazy. I can't even, dude. Come on. I can understand not liking Randall. I can understand not liking Julius.
You talking about for Randall? That's
what. Yeah.
Oh.
I can understand not liking Julius Randall, but I mean, you got to give props. Guys, was an All NBA player 2 out of the last 3 seasons. That's not us talking. That's his peers and other coaches who vote on that. That's not us. That's guys who play the game. I mean, I can understand not liking him, and I love Precious. Effort guy, gets from the area, easy to root for. Oh, come on, man. Come on.
Once we want to move for a cheaper option. I don't think you can get a cheaper option for Mitch. I think that's delusional if people think it's a cheaper option for Mitch. I don't think that makes sense. If the people are saying that. His contract is very favorable, much like we talked about it. It's a declining contract. So I don't think that's ever going to be an issue as far as it's about his health. It would be his health that would be the one damaging thing about his value. I don't think it's about the contract per se. And I don't think you can get a better center for what he's getting paid. Same thing with Brunson. All these guys are not paid the max monies that they could get in on another team. Brunson didn't take a full. Randall never took a full. They've all are on deals. There's not one player that's really maxed out with anything, contract-wise.
We could talk again. This is a topic.
That's okay. Yeah, we'll broach that again. Come back when we talk about all the guys. We're critical of everybody, so don't think it's just one. I mean, you would have heard the RJ hate.
We're obviously end of the season when there's free agency. We'll do a free agency show and we'll talk about all of that then. And we'll get into it in the future. But we've been at this for 2 hours, so it's time. I'm hungry. I need to eat some food. So we're going to shut this one down. So really quickly, Ty, tell them where they can find you, talk to you, all that fun stuff.
Come holler at your boy on the X channel, Genius Scribble. Catch me on the fan page, Facebook fan page, all Knicked Up. Catch my recaps. Come in there and holler at your boy. Coach, you need to come on that and engage with us. That's what you need to do is subscribe to our Facebook page where we're doing more conversation, personal conversations. We go back and forth and discuss things that we may not have talked about on the show. That's the best platform to come. We're all on there. We don't hide from smoke. We talk the talk. It's all legit as far as our opinions don't change. That's what you need to do. Just come and subscribe to the channel for us on Facebook, and I'll be the first one to greet you and talk to you. Believe you me, it's all good. We can talk this out. But you can find me there on All Knicked Up fan page, doing recaps. I don't see tonight's game, so I like being authentic. I only talk about games I really see. But come check out your boys on there.
All right, Joe, your turn.
Okay, you could find me on X at Upstate Joe, AKU for All Knicked Up. You can find me on the fan page Again, we will pump the fan page. We have some of the best game recaps from Ty on there. And really, it's kind of like I would love to see everybody come on there. I think one of the great things about knowing both of these guys for years is just getting on similar forums and either arguing or agreeing or talking about our favorite team back and forth. That's how the three of us became friends in the first place. So, we're hoping to build a similar kind of platform in the fan page where people can come and discuss and, throw out their opinions, So, again, thank you all for tuning in. Coach, thanks for tuning in, commenting. I saw, like I said, Paul Patrick on there, who I've known for a long time. He's a good man. Glad to see you on here. And thanks, everybody, for spending some time with us, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes. So thank you. Like the guy said, thank you to everyone who watched us, especially today. It's Valentine's Day. I don't know what your situation's like, but I know sometimes it's hard to get away on days like this if you have a significant other. So thank you for watching us and spending some time with us. If you guys want to catch me, you could catch me on Twitter at Finally33. That's my direct account. If you want to catch the show, it's at all_Knicked_up, same name as the show. I talk most of my basketball talk there. So if you want to check that out, you can. I do a fandom pop culture show called Straight Outta Gotham. It's at straight_O_G, where we discuss movies, fandom, pop culture, all that fun stuff that the other fun stuff, the nerdy stuff that I love. I talk about that there with my co-host Pete Vera. We have a good time. So you can check that out over there. I believe that's it. So we're going to put a bow on this one. So for Joe and Ty, I'm Eric. You're watching All Knicked Up. We'll see you next week.